All right. So those are our outcomes for today. Next up, we're going to move into, I think, Judy, you're up. So let me get, I have this computer, there we go. Okay, so welcome Judy Marlin from District Health Department number 10. We're glad you're here, and I'm going to stop my share so that you could begin your own. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and anything else you think would be helpful for us to know about you and your role.
Okay, do you think I can start sharing my screen?
Yep, absolutely.
And
Oh, thanks, Dana, for that book reference. For those of you on the recording watching this, we did just talk about potty training tips and tricks. The Everybody Poops book was something recommended, and just a nice practical guide there. Thanks, Dana.
okay.
And Judy, we'll go right from toilet learning to eating. I guess they're supporting processes, right?
I have a great niece and a great nephew who are both about 28 months old, and that's a big topic when we all get together. So
one end to the other. Thanks, Clara.
I'm just trying to get to full screen and I'm missing. Here we go.
There you go.
And why do I not see it? Thank you for your patience, everyone. And then I'll introduce myself.
If you go up high on the orange colored bar there on the first little movie screen, there you go. That should do it.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you all for letting me be part of this really dynamic group. I want to know even more than I currently know. It sounds like you do a lot of wonderful activities and have a lot of resources. I'm Judy Marlin. I'm the nutritionist with the Health Department of Northwest Michigan, and I cover Otsego County, Emmett, Charlevoix, and Northern Antrim County. And primarily, I work with WIC and home visiting clientele. And so it's pregnant and postpartum women and children up to age 5 are my target audience right now. I have a long history of working in non-commercial food service and healthcare food service, as well as university feeding. So I chose Wide World of Eating Well because of your piecemeal event. To me, everyone eats, but not everyone gets fed. And to me, being fed is including the social emotional aspect of eating, the family meals, the piecemeal event that you're doing. So the government has their most current dietary guidelines for Americans out, and their message this time is start simple with My Plate. Have you all seen the My Plate diagram picture? And if any of you want more information, just go to myplate.gov, and that's the place to start. You will be overwhelmed with things, including recipes. But what this does is it gives you a visual for trying to either improve your diet, change your diet, just make yourself and your family healthier. One of their slogans this time is small changes matter. So make every bite count. So that's a small change. As a nutritionist, I call this nutrition density. So it's kind of like, if any of you heard the term empty calories, I'm going to use cheese doodles because that's my sister's empty calorie. So if you're eating, make every bite count. Have it give you some of the nutrients you need every day to be healthy, rather than just calories or an unhealthier or less healthy component like a saturated fat. So make every bite count. They talk about focusing on whole fruits, as opposed to just drinking juice drinks or drinking juice all day long. Try to eat whole pieces of fruit, either cut up in a salad. Keep seasonal, frozen, or canned fruits on hand. All of them count. Frozen should be without added sugar, and canned fruits should be in juice or water. And I think the primarily canned fruits meet that criteria now. I don't see heavy syrup as often, but that's really important in our neck of the woods up here, especially on, I think, are we going to be minus 30 tomorrow? So when our fresh fruits and vegetables selection can be a little slimmer. And then vary your veggies. How many of you have a child that will eat one vegetable and no others? Yeah, it's common. I deal with it all the time. But to get all the nutrients you really want to get in your diet, try different veggies. And my mantra is, if you can add a veggie to it, do it. So this means any of your family recipes, maybe a lasagna, maybe a mac and cheese, try adding a vegetable to it. I've seen mac and cheese recipes where you have pureed squash, or you add pureed broccoli, or you do things like that, or chunks, whatever your family will most readily accept. But if you can add a veggie to a standard recipe, go ahead and do it. It's an easy way to get more veggies in your diet. Make half of your grains whole. How many of you seek out whole grains when you go grocery shopping? Depending on how many servings you want every day, make at least half whole grain. The reason whole grains are healthier for you is they haven't been stripped of all their nutrients. White bread has white flour. That's whole grain flour that's been stripped of everything, and the nutrients it has are added back in. We call it fortification. But whole grains also give you fiber. Fiber is helpful for a variety of reasons. One thing we hear a lot about now is your microbiome, your gut health. Do any of you see that mentioned all the time and wonder what to do? Include whole grains. That will add more fiber, and add more fiber on top of the fiber you're getting from veggies and whole fruits. Vary your protein routine. Add more meatless meals to your weekly menus. Do all of you eat meat every single night of the week? You'll be finding that a lot of people have gotten away from meat as what we would call center of the plate. You look like a pork chop, a vegetable, potato, kind of a standard American meal. Right now, with inflation and the cost of meat, adding more meatless meals to your weekly menus makes sense and might even be somewhat of a necessity. But meatless meals can focus on other alternate sources of protein like beans, nuts, seeds, soy, and then move to low-fat or fat-free dairy. You can also substitute fortified soy milk or lactose-free dairy milk. I'm not going to ask how many of you drink fat-free or low-fat milk or dairy, but the difference between a glass of skim milk and a glass of whole milk is 2 pats of butter. So that's one way to look at the fat in milk. And that fat is a saturated fat. It's healthier for us to do unsaturated or monosaturated fats. So, and the reason I mentioned adding fortified soy milk or lactose-free dairy milk, there are also a lot of alternate milks out there. Have any of you tried almond milk or cashew milk or coconut milk? It keeps changing. And with our distribution interruptions up here, some days you can only find one kind of alternate milk. None of those milks are the nutritional equivalent of dairy milk. Most, in fact, most will not offer any protein, or very little, like 1 gram. A glass of dairy milk has the equivalent of an ounce of protein. So it's something that you really need to read labels for. And I'm not saying those alternate milks don't have a place in your diet, but I also look at my target audience has a great need for a lot of nutrients. So we don't need to be drinking an alternate milk that doesn't give me anything but calories. And you can ask questions as we go along, or if I don't explain something
Yeah, just a
clearly.
couple actually, Judy, a couple have come up in the chat. One in particular, from Bailey. If you have an underweight child, is whole milk okay in that instance?
Okay, it depends on, in general, if the child is between 1 and 2, we do offer whole milk, and those are the general guidelines, that little extra boost of fat. But even then, if the family is predisposed to heart disease or something, we may look at that. But that's why I told you the difference between skim and whole is 2 pats of butter. If you have an underweight child, look at how you can increase the calorie density of foods with possibly something other than fat, or that offers them other nutrients in addition to, especially if they like peanut butter, making a smoothie instead of just a glass of milk, make them a smoothie with some peanut butter and a banana in it. Those kinds of things to get calories in. Sprinkle a little cheese on top of vegetables, rather than just doing the fat. So, but sometimes whole milk does fit into it. And that's why with medical nutrition therapy, we're just talking about general nutrition. It's good to work with somebody who can help you make those decisions based on what your family likes to eat. Does that answer the question enough to get you started?
Judy, he's 11, so he's well past that one to, yeah, he's really tall. He's just can't gain weight.
And part of the things too, a lot of things come into that, but eating frequency and making sure you're packing the eating occasions with calories, maybe not with volume, but with calories. So.
And I will say, I tried to transition my 2-year-old shortly after her birthday to what the rest of the family was drinking, which is skim milk or 1%, depending on availability. And she suddenly started waking up in the middle of the night again. It wasn't enough. So we've gone back to whole milk for her.
Okay. So, and I'm glad you mentioned 1%, because that's my personal favorite. It's also harder to find up here. It seems to be at least what places I shop, it's not always available, but I like to recommend that to people because it's a nice point between fat-free and 2%. So go ahead.
I was just saying, and meanwhile, I don't like dairy anymore, so I have the almond milk also available in the house.
And depending on the almond milk you've got, usually the recommendation I make on alternate milks is make sure they're at least fortified with vitamin D and calcium.
She doesn't have it often. She just has it with cereal every once in a while. So
okay. Nutrition is a continuum. It's not an absolute, except for very specific, health related reasons or that kind of thing. So whatever fits. So make half your plates fruits and vegetables. So how can you include more fruits and vegetables? Now that you're also including frozen and canned, do fruit for dessert. Make it fancy, put a little bit of yogurt and some sprinkles on top. Do smoothies with low-fat dairy. Surprisingly enough, a lot of people haven't done smoothies or don't think of it, especially with children, or they don't think of making them. They think of buying them. Add fresh berries and fruits to salad. Make fruit salsas or chutneys. My personal favorite, use your condiments to add fruits and vegetables. And my personal favorite happens to be pico de gallo, onions, cilantro, jalapeno, and tomatoes. And I just do a whole bunch of it, like a whole dish of it, because I just love the flavor. Cold fruit soups in the summer, roast fruits for salads or desserts. Stone fruits can be grilled in the summer. One of my favorite things for the winter is to roast grapes. So how many of you have ever had a bunch of grapes kind of sitting around that's one step ahead of looking sad, so if you haven't frozen them already to eat frozen, you can just toss them with a little olive oil and thyme and roast them in the oven as you make dinner. They're absolutely delicious on salads. add greens to any smoothie. If you have a berry-based smoothie like cherries or strawberries or blueberries, just add a handful of kale or spinach. And what it does is it deepens the color and it just mellows out the flavor. You are not going to taste the greens. It's not a green smoothie. And it's a real wonderful way to get greens. Make soup and just add extra vegetables in, or clean out your fridge. How many of you have done that? If you have a favorite soup recipe, change the texture of what you're serving. Puree. I mean, mashed potatoes. We like mashed potatoes for a reason. How many of you have mashed your cauliflower? Cauliflower was all over the place, over the past couple of years, from rice. Do a puree, add a little herb or spice, roast those vegetables, which is absolutely delicious. You just toss them with oil and whatever seasoning you want and bake them. How many of you have made a pesto that's based on vegetables, not just on herbs? You can do a pesto based on broccoli. You can do a pesto based on kale. You just make that green pesto a vegetable and use that. Roll salads and extra vegetables into tortilla wraps. And again, if you can add a veggie to it, do it. Now, I am not looking at the chat, Missy, so if there are other questions.
Well, there's just a little stuff going on in the chat. The roasted grapes recipe, I had never heard of that. Is there, that's making me curious about more about that, but I suppose we can all Google recipes, right?
Well, you don't even need a recipe. I just gave it to you.
Yeah.
So you have grapes. You have grapes,
right,
that aren't going to be eaten before they look sad. Either throw them in the freezer to eat them frozen. If you want to roast them, you can roast them whole or cut them in half. Toss them with a little bit of olive oil. Put them in a baggie with just a little bit of oil and make sure everything's covered. And my personal, I think the best flavor is from thyme. If any of you cook with thyme, if you have a plant, it's an easy herb to grow. And then just bake them at anywhere from, usually around 375 is a good temperature to roast vegetables at for me. And just roast them until they kind of shrink down. They're just delicious. You can use them cold, put them in the fridge, or just put them hot on a salad, put them on meat. The night you're having a pork chop, they're great with pork. So are there other questions that I should address? I see there's a lactose-free family. And smoothies make me too cold. Okay.
Judy, our family's mostly lactose-free, and we do Oatly, which comes in a full fat. And so that does have protein. Is that okay?
Yeah, how much protein?
It says 1 cup has 3 grams.
That's about a little less than half of what you would get in normal milk. So it's not an okay or not okay. My point was all the alternate milks are not the nutritional equivalent. And Oatly is a processed product. So it has in it what they choose to add to it. So, and I think Oatly is the one I see come up most often for being a favorite of people. So more of the guidance is choose foods that have less added sugars, less saturated fats, less salt and sodium. And note that this doesn't say no added sugars, no saturated fats, no salt or sodium. And a lot of us, when we hear some of these nutrition guidelines, we think it's either or, good or bad. Nutrition is on a continuum.
Judy, we had a question in the chat about the value of eating whole nuts. Is that, I'm going to get back to see the question. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Clara. My coming back in after getting kicked out. Don't underestimate the value of eating whole nuts. So yeah, totally and how little you really do need to eat. To sometimes I'll eat a whole bag of trail mix, but I realize it's not really what you should do.
That would be my caveat. Any nut is great to add to your diet. And if you can sprinkle nuts on things, nut butters, seed butters. The thing about nuts is they're a very concentrated source of calories, just like nut butters or peanut butter is. So yes, you do have to watch portion size. And the one I usually share with people is a handful of almonds is like 23 almonds. It's an odd number because almonds are pretty much all the same size. So just measure that out one day and see how much it is. So putting the whole bag in front of you, that could be a whole nother presentation. There's something to be said. In fact, I just heard it on the radio. They were referring to something, but it's like we are conditioned that anything that's put in front of us, that's the portion size for us.
Yeah, and that is difficult. And Dana has a question that I think is really valuable. She has allergies to beans and berries, and it gets really difficult to go meatless. What about other suggestions on protein?
Beans as in lentils and that type of thing. Soy
it's all beans. Like I even have issues with sensitivities to soy, so tofu is not really an option for me. I can't do garbanzo beans. I can't do chickpeas. I can't do kidney beans. I can't even do green beans anymore. I used to be able to do those. So it just keeps getting like more and more keep getting added. And I actually have an EpiPen now because I just never know. So.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So that in a sense, that's when you would need a one-on-one discussion to get a little more insight into what your family does like and eat, and would give me a little more time to do some research on some outlier things that may be. But in general, what do you do to get your protein? Meats?
We eat a lot of venison. So we are doing a low fat meat. And then when I have chicken, I try to trim all the fat off of it before we have it. So we do a lot of eggs. Yeah, we do a lot of eggs. And Clara, I do eat a lot of Greek yogurt. And we can do peanuts and peanut butter. So it's weird that I'm allergic to beans, but not peanuts. So I'm just trying to, figure it out. And peas are okay at the moment. So I try to add those in. So.
Okay. Pulses and legumes we tend to put them together, but it sounds like you have your own thing going there.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And the other thing I would suggest is when we talk about animal-based protein or sources of protein is amounts that we eat. Americans tend to get way more protein than we actually need when it comes right down to it. So being able to scale back a little bit, not a hunk of meat on your plate. A portion is about 3 ounces, can fit in the palm of your hand, or shredded, or however you eat your venison. So looks like I forwarded my presentation here and I got to figure out how to go back.
I think you should be able to use your arrow keys on your keyboard. That usually
thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not even sure how I put it forward. I appreciate your patience.
You're welcome.
So in talking about less fat, less sodium, etc., are you all familiar with, do you read labels? Okay. The labels have been made simpler and give you a lot of really good information. That being said, I read labels all the time and it takes a while to determine some things for me sometimes. So what the new label has on it is it gives you a serving size. You want to pay attention to that. It then gives you the calories for that serving size. So the thing you want to really pay attention to is this bag of whatever I'm buying. Am I planning to eat the whole bag? and it has 4 servings, that changes the whole nutrition landscape. But then I think this will probably be helpful to you if you didn't know it, where it has the % daily values. Just a rule of thumb is if it's less than 5%, it's low. And depending on if it's a nutrient you want more of or less of, this has saturated fat at 23%. Here it says 20% or more is high. It's high in saturated fat, whatever this is a label for. So you might want to avoid that and go with something less. The other thing that people are really interested in is added sugars now. This was really a great improvement on labeling because there are a lot of foods that have sugar in them. Milk is one of them. There are 11 grams of sugar. It's called lactose. Now the lactose-free family is avoiding that. But if you take a dairy product and it has added sugars on top of 11, you know, look at a chocolate milk label sometime. So a good rule of thumb to avoid sugars is to look for things with fewer added sugars, less added sugar. And then the other nutrients that are listed, these are listed because it's found that Americans don't get enough vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium of all things. That one surprised me, and that one is new. Potassium is really prevalent in your diet if you're eating fruits and vegetables. So it kind of tells you right there. Also, if you're looking for whole grain products, you can often find the Whole Grain Council stamp on foods. It's voluntary, so you won't, all whole grain products won't have it, but that's something you might want to look for. And then down at the bottom here, I have an ingredient list for Cheerios. So looking at the ingredient list on any grain product, you want the first ingredient to say whole grain corn, whole grain oats, whole grain wheat. And then you know it's a whole grain product. Ingredients are listed in order of weight. So that is the heaviest ingredient in there. Do you have questions on label? Did that help at all? Or so Global Foods, which you are doing with your piecemeal event, Global Foods challenge us to try new ingredients. So some of the things that we've been talking about, maybe by trying some global dishes, you might find new protein sources. They teach us and challenge us to enjoy new flavors, especially herb and spice combinations. They challenge us to prepare and enjoy familiar foods that we've always eaten, or ingredients, and to use them and eat them in different ways. They can challenge us to modify traditional meat proportions or meal proportions. Boy, that was a slip. One of the big ones is meat. American diet tends to be heavy in animal-based protein, and many other global diets are not. They challenge us to enjoy new and different sources of proteins, to eat all kinds of foods at all times of day. In America, breakfast is Cheerios and milk and a glass of juice. It's not the same if you go to another country. A lot of countries have very savory meals for breakfast. So it's kind of like we could eat breakfast all day long. Well, you can eat any food all day long. Just learning how to do that, sometimes that's what these global dishes will teach us. They tend to feature whole food ingredients, less processed food, and to change the fat profile, using more plant-based oils in particular. A big example that we usually have is Mediterranean diet. And I have a bunch of pictures here of some mixed up plates that show how you can eat differently globally. This over here is a plate of meze from the Mediterranean, from Greece. This is Norwegian, which is an open-faced sandwich. If you look closely, there's beets on this. Now, how healthy of a sandwich is that? Here's a burrito, but it's deconstructed. Here is an Italian antipasto, a Spanish potatoes with a red pepper. I think it's patatas bravas. Somebody maybe can help me with that. And then here's an American breakfast that made half their plates, fruit and veggies. This is a poached egg on kale, on tomato, on whole wheat bun, our English muffin with some fruit and with a yogurt sauce. So think about what you're eating, not just by the sections of the plate, but it might be all grouped together. So one lifestyle and diet we often hear about now as being quite healthy is the Mediterranean diet or lifestyle. And the reason I've got diet/lifestyle is the minute I say diet, people start thinking of restrictions. And in fact, when you look this up online, the first thing you get a lot of like, what can't you eat on a Mediterranean diet? What foods are not allowed on a Mediterranean diet? That's not the idea. It's a lifestyle in the Mediterranean. They tend to have a diet that's based on a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, plant oils, think of olive oil, more fish than we tend to eat, whole grains, legumes, and then their lifestyle is physical activity. If you ever watch any of the travel shows that pop up on TV once in a while, you know, if you're in Rome, they're all walking the streets at night. Everyone goes for a stroll after dinner, that type of thing. Or they just have a more physically active lifestyle. They walk to the grocery store. They live in smaller spaces. So Mediterranean is what we often hear about. And then I just wanted to say that people connect to cultures and ethnic groups through food. If immigrants come to our country, they tend to seek out people who share their food mores, their food habits, their meal patterns. And that's a way we can all connect with one another. And how many of you have met someone new and you found out, oh, we always ate that growing up? I grew up in mid-Michigan, which has, as it turns out, a very, where I lived, a very Polish heritage, and things that we could go to the store and get, kielbasa, I mean, things like that. I moved to the East Coast for my, for work for about 10 years and found out you can't just walk to the grocery store and get things that I was always used to. It was my first, I don't know, I've always been in food, and it was my first actual experience with that because I'd spent most of my time in the Midwest, and I could get the foods that I was used to growing up with. So what can I elaborate on? Has any of this helped? Have I missed the mark here?
Judy, I want to thank you for your time today. It's really great to see nutrition in the context of global foods, and just as a great reminder to us as parents, you know, we can try new things, but there's always that element of the value behind the food, beyond just eating it, right? And it's really about, I love the feeding analogy that you came up with in the beginning, and there's so many ways to feed a person what they need and to provide the nutrition that's of value. So I am going to, I guess I haven't seen any other questions in the chat. If I'm missing something here, guys. But yeah, I think this is going to be great thinking points, as a lot of us are behind some of the meals, offering different hosts encouragement to choose some foods that are new to people, and to getting us to think about eating different things at different times of day. We don't have to be locked in. We can build flexibility and adaptability in ourselves and in our children through food. That's also another message that I think you really hit on. So Awesome.
And I see a couple of things about it. Seems like quite a few individuals in our audience today, even our small audience, have some intolerances and allergies and things. And all I can say is that there are so many different foods available now that you can buy to help make your diet whole. We couldn't used to be able to go to the store and buy bags of farro or bags of millet or, different grains and gluten-free options. A lot of foods are just naturally gluten-free. You don't have to buy a processed food that says gluten-free once you start looking into it. So let me advocate for the services of a dietitian too. So that's what we do. And
Well,
I'm sorry I
thank you.
couldn't be more specific on individuals today.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the consideration, and I'll be able to provide your contact information if anyone wants to reach out with you with an email. How about that?
Sure. Okay, thank you so much for allowing me to come. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Judy. We're so glad you could come.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Well, that's great. Gives us a new way to think, a little bit of a different way to think about our peace meals and how we can bring things to families, and considering so many things, not just one meal, right? Great. Well, I'm going to get to my screen here, and Judy was here. Any thoughts on any other reflections on that before we move forward? Okay. Well, I know you've seen this before, piecemeal solidarity, parent-led work. You guys, we've been on it. Our cultural guide group, who's doing the number 2 kind of job here, they have been going to town here. So Dana, Megan, and Norica have been working on this. I wanted to give you guys the floor just to give a little summary of what you've been doing, and to help Bailey and some of the others and Norica is here too, to help us get a sense of what are these cultural guides going to look like, and in just a brief statement.
Did Norica want to take the floor?
I was gonna just say that I'm finding some really cool stuff. I started into looking at some of the websites that we had already researched, and started really delving into the websites and looking for other alternative websites. And I found quite a bit of information out there that there are different sites that offer recipes by country. I found a really cool one. I just put it on our sheet. And then also started to look into the music. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think. So Megan, I'm probably going to call on you to help figure out music for some of them. But it was really cool because I just started in on a spreadsheet just to give myself something to work off of. And there was a couple of different cool ones. So what we want to do, everybody, is we want to have a guide, like a sheet that goes home with each of the recipes that is kid-friendly, family-friendly, that has links to recipes from the country, interesting facts from the country, like maps, the map and the flag and the population, different ingredients that you would maybe find in the country, as well as possibly different animals and music that are in the country. So just things that kids would be kind of interested in, families would be interested in, just to give that extra cultural part of what we're wanting to throw out there for people to really understand. Okay, this is from here. We also, we're probably, Missy, correct me, but I think we're going to be getting beach balls that are globes that can be sent home. So when people are looking at the country that is the theme, they can find it on the map in a physical, hands-on way. So I found some really cool stuff when I was looking. So
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. Megan or Norca, do you want to add to what Dana's shared about the cultural guide?
I feel like she did a rather comprehensive job of explaining that. I think the other thing that we're really working on right now is trying to think of what the expectation would be for getting those globes and potentially those smaller prizes, because last year we did do the cookbooks, and some people may be returning to this, some people may be new, and it gave us a little variety on stuff that people might already have versus what they could get instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. I think we were also really intentional, and partially thanks to Megan's making this conversation point kind of come alive for our small group, is that we want to make sure that kids and families, regardless of being able to actually eat the meal, because we do, obviously, just from our small groups discussion, there's diets are very restricted for a lot of people. People don't always eat the same things. They can't all eat the same things. So how can we make this event series more accessible to all, whether they can eat the food or not? So and just a thought, and also making an effort to brand meals as they can still make whatever they want, but at least to be able to promote this is a meatless option, or this is a gluten-free option, just to help families know in ahead of time if it's something they really can eat. So that's great. Awesome. Next month, actually, Black History Month, I'm trying to, because part of the first goal of our parent-led strategy is to do something along the lines of, to really dig in. I might approach Northern Michigan's like E3 to talk about, really explore cultural appropriation versus cultural appreciation, something that we as a parent group feel is important to do. We've all seen times and places where other cultures are not represented well or healthfully by the majority. And what are some ways that we can kind of learn about how to really appreciate other cultures with your children, and not do things unknowingly that may be less sensitive. So that's something we're also going to work in. So watch for more information on that later this month. So we're hoping, as the meal schedule is coming out, we've got they're trickling in. Redeemer Lutheran signed back on, guys. So we're getting our piecemeals are going to line up, and we want to make sure that that we offer, mix it up. Make some our groups that they're going to make some different things. I was hoping Carol Allen signed up. So Presbyterian Church, I think, is interested. They're just not doing meals this particular month of January. So that's the role. Once we have that schedule, that's when we're going to be looking more to like, okay, do we have a parent from either the organization hosting the meal or from our Great Start Parents group who might act as that ambassador and curate that cultural guide? Our team of Dana, Norca, and Megan have been finding amazing resources. I think our Amazon purchases of the Hungry Planet books will be available soon, so we can maybe even get some of our early childhood support teams scanning those some pages in that are relevant once we know our countries that are do anyone want to share the Hungry Planet book with the group here? Clara and Doreen, I guess, and Bailey, it's for you.
Okay, so what the Hungry Planet book is a photographer who went around the globe and took and interviewed families and took a photo of each family, and it could be whoever they're cooking for. So the grandparents could be there, the aunts and uncles could be there, it could be all the children, and took a photo with their week's food. Like, this is what we're going to eat in a week. They went all over the world and took photos, so you could see the difference. Like, oh wow, that's amazing what those people are eating in Germany, and that's amazing what those people are eating I think he went to China. I can't remember all the places he went, but he went so many places, and it's really cool because they also included how much it costs. Like, what does it cost to get all of that food for the week for that number of people? And it's a really cool thing because it's very visual with it being photographer.
Yeah, and so one thing that we got this was kind of a starter guide that my daughter got with a meal kit. She loved this whole piecemeal thing in the cookbook so much last year. We're thinking that this back part, like on a 2-page, would be the photo of the family with all the food for the week in the space that they eat with the people with whom they dine. So so I think this guide that we're going to develop, I think really has the potential to be completely amazing. If anything, just that photo of the family and just some highlights of famous places, common foods, traditions. That's the kind of stuff that Megan and Norca and Dina have been working so diligently to compile. So thanks, you guys. And as we get those meals, I'll be talking to the host organizations and or the hosting meal sites to find out more about what their thoughts are in providing an ambassador, if we need to jump in and do that. So, or jump in and kind of assist. So I'll keep you guys posted. We're going to move into just a little bit. I know we're coming up on the end, but the Talking is Teaching Action Team, Bailey and I kind of coordinate that. And we are installing, I want to pull this up for you to see. I don't know how much, some of you, I feel like maybe I've mentioned it, but for the whole group here, this is about 2 stores. We're going to need some parents. We're going to do two things. We have a Talking is Teaching grocery store display to Kevin Young in Antrim County. He has one store in Central Lake that our other parent coalition helped get them set up as a Talking is Teaching grocery store. And this these are his 2 markets. The top one is Elk Rapids. The bottom one is Rapid City. We will be installing the Talking is Teaching materials of banners and signage for the racks and the produce department, and banners from the ceiling, welcome banners, and all kinds of stuff. We'll be setting installation dates for end of February, and ideally some sort of media event / kickoff, grand openings, kids with scavenger hunts, that kind of thing, going out to at maybe beginning of March. So installation and a kickoff event definitely before the end of March. We'll be coordinating with some families and people out in that direction, but please know that you would be welcome to come and be part of it, to see it, in case maybe there's a Tom's in our future, or maybe there's an Olson's or something that could make this happen locally. But we're really excited to have 2 stores kick off a Talking is Teaching grocery store campaign. So I think might be a drive for some of you to actually go and to check it out, but we think it'll be pretty cool. So that's just an update there. Any questions on that? Okay. Here we are, back to our topics. This is what we said we're going to learn about, and we're going to do it. So some of you know that the toilet learning seminar is coming your way. We want to get this out. This is intended to be a networking night. So as parents side by side with childcare providers. So if you have any ways of people in your circles that you'd like to disseminate this to, it's kind of also a great example of how our Talking is Teaching action team and our trusted messengers out in the community have latched on, and they said, oh, well, I found that there's this potty time thing, and my teachers all teach 3-year-olds and they need a lot of help with potty training, potty learning. So I worked with the teacher's provider, and we picked out some materials, we had them copied, and now we have this toilet learning seminar happening at the end of February. So it's virtual, anyone can come. There is a great packet put together by Julie Sizemore, our presenter, that can be downloaded for parents who participate in that session. So any questions on the toilet learning opportunity? All right, it's pretty straightforward. And then parent-led work. This is where we're going to start just our last couple of minutes here. Two pieces. I want to encourage all of our parents, even though we don't have any technically Kalkaska parents on this call, they are having a meeting next week, Tuesday. And Clara, this might be more a conversation you and I can have, talk a little more about outside of this group. But I say Kalkaska because they actually have been, but they have a lot of money. The parent group out there in the neighborhood center has been filtering some funds from their blood drive for a long time. They've been accruing funds. And so this is something any neighborhood center could jump on board with as well. I wanted to kind of share that this, so they've been, the local guy who does the blood drive at Midas Muffler in Kalkaska gives all their money to the neighborhood center. And so similar things could be done, but this is kind of the fun. There's some funding available for this to help with events and stuff. So it's possible here too, but also this idea of bringing parents together for this mental health and wellness event. I know Doreen's talked about it a lot too. So Clara and Doreen are kind of have committed to being really interested in leading that work. So all in the event, in the interest of seeing children born healthy and being in healthy families. So with that, I want you to imagine, just take a minute. You don't even look at the screen. You can just even turn your video off if you want. But I kind of want to just guide you through this, like just this visualization, and imagine yourself, COVID is less of an issue. We're scheduling something to do face-to-face again as a parent group. And I want you just to imagine yourself like the morning of this event. And you're going to a place where parents are. You're focusing on your wellness. Imagine getting in your car and try to think about yourself. Where are you driving? Where are you going to? What kind of a place is going to get you excited about participating in a wellness event with other parents? Think about, how did you learn about it? Who told you to go try this out? But once they told you about it, you were really super excited. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go. You just knew you had to go to this event. And as you're driving, finally the big days arrived and you're driving there, you're going to this space, you're excited about it. You get there, what kind of space are you walking into? Does it feel relaxing? Is it a community center of some kind? Is it a space that, you know, is for special events? Who else is there? Look around as you're at this, you know, fake event that we've planned in our head that you're really excited about. Like, who's there? Who else showed up? Did you run into somebody else that you knew from another walk of life? And what might happen at this event to bring you a new connection, to help you connect you to somebody or something that you might need or want in your life? And you've gone to this event and where you're going to leave and maybe you're walking out the door, what are you feeling inside? And we're going to imagine this is the best, this is like the most, something that you've done that you just are so glad that you've done. You haven't done this in a long time. And when you notice that feeling inside of like, oh, I'm so glad I went to that. I'm so glad. And what do you have in reflecting on this? Like, what do you share with others about your experience? What made this so worth your time to go? And why might you tell someone else about it?
Well, just like playgroups, I want my kids to be able to come with me and there to be supervisors, maybe teenagers, National Honor Society teenagers, somebody helping supervise the kids. And so I'm thinking like an outside place like Silver Lake Park, where you've got the pavilion, but maybe there's a better park where the pavilion's right there, like Blair Township Park, because that's a really cool park.
So you're imagining an outdoor space.
An outdoor space, yeah. And I think that part, because of all the COVID stuff, but my kids love to be outside. So I like to go to places where my kids can be outside. And I think, I mean, I'm always seeing people that I know anywhere I go. So as far as who's there, I really don't know. But yeah, it's definitely, there would be a reason I'd want to go. Like maybe some knowledge that I might want more information about, or some kind of a token gift that might be available.
All right. Anyone else? Dana's had her brain was wandering. You were wandering with me. Anyone else wander? Did your brain wander to any other different place or activities, or who's around?
Mine kind of wandered to wandered to like a cozy coffee shop or something like that setting with inviting chairs or bean bags, or sit there and have a cup of coffee or tea with someone, so that just kind of curling up in that favorite cozy chair, feeling.
So it needs to be just cozy and connect on maybe a more intimate level with like just another person, not necessarily a big group.
Well, I mean, it could be a bigger group. I mean, a bunch of bean bags tossed around are also very comfy, where they feel, like you said, relaxed and inviting, and like, okay, I like going here because I can just chill and we can talk, not necessarily on a structured thing, but the person that is doing the is the head of the meeting, they can say, okay, this is the topic of our round table, so to speak, this week. And then they can just kind of just sit there and be calm about it and just chat. And like Dana said too, having that separate area where the kids can go and hang out, whether it be like what it was at Incredible Mo's, and they have this separate little playroom for the kids. So that's kind of my idea.
Thank you, Doreen, for sharing. I love there's like little nuggets of all of your, I think, in hearing from more of you. I know our time is running out, but if you haven't shared anything, and I know probably we don't have time for everybody, but if you wouldn't mind, what are the important components that you saw kind of as you were wandering, and include that in the chat somehow would be really helpful, because and thank you, Bailey, for doing just that. Places to kind of stop along a trail and slow down and spot things along the way. Very cool. Definitely something. I like how there's coffee, there's warmth some way or another, whether it's like a warm beverage, there's a little place to kind of have a smaller conversation amongst a larger activity. I'm kind of seeing that. Is it snowing? I'd imagine it's hopefully not snowing by the time we pull this together. But if you have thoughts, and you roll this around in your head, kind of think about those. What does that look like? Because Clara and Doreen, the three of us at least, are going to start digging in on this too. What does this look like for parents? How do we give them? Parents are stressed. Parents are so stressed, and just this opportunity to connect and come out and talk to another person in a real way was meaningful. And those of you who said outdoor settings, I want to encourage you to sign up for the Family Adventure Day. I know for some of you, you may have not ever thought about a 10-week Mom Power or Fraternity of Fathers kind of experience, but we are offering a Family Adventure Day, February 12th. It's a Saturday, and maybe you read about it in our last newsletter, but this is something that we're aiming for outdoor connection. Yes, it's 2.5 hours outdoors in February, but I think it may help gel some of these ideas as far as what would it look like outdoors if we were to have a wellness event for families. So I just wanted to plant that seed. And let you know that we do have some funds to help with this as well. So there's some, whether it's space making sure we can rent a space and have this wellness event for families. I think if we do it right, it's going to be a big, huge success. So at February, our regional parent training is going to be our networking night. So February, that's what we have on the docket. And if I can pull together our E3 people to do some sort of cultural appropriation versus appreciation, that's what we're aiming for February. March will be a regular collaborative meeting, and that's kind of where we're at. So an appreciation and a hope, if you care to leave one. I know it's 1:32, so I want to honor all of your time. I appreciate all of you. I am going to send out the papers for those of you, all of you on this call today can, because we didn't have lunch, I want to reignite the you can have $20 to help you with child supervision. Go buy yourself that cozy cup of coffee with a friend, whatever you need to do, but $20 for your time today and managing all that you manage in tandem without a lot of support from the outside world in most cases. So thank you. I appreciate the efforts you go to hang out on Zoom with me and all of our early childhood friends and companions.
Hey, Missy, our next meeting is not today.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's one thing I didn't get to. I was late last night. Yvonne wanted another 10 slides. I didn't. Yeah, so it's March. It's like March. I might be 20. It's March 23rd, I think, is our last one. So thank you, Dana. Yeah, mark your calendar, not for January. March 23rd, 22nd, March 22nd. Cool. All right. Any last things for the good of the order? You guys done with Zoom? Me too. But not yet. I'm going till 5. I don't know about you.
This is my last one today.
Woohoo!
After this, it's rest, relaxation, and lots of baby planning, movement stuff.
So excited for you, Megan. That's so great.
Yeah, we found out. So baby now has a name. And I think we've told all of the family except my brother because he never answers the phone.
Oh man, that brother.
That one.
Oh,
Hey, excuse me.
how exciting.
Missy, when you get a free moment, I know I have an appointment that I got to go into for an hour here shortly. But anytime, just let me know. I sent you a message in chat.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Let's do it. Thanks,
All
Doreen.
right. You're welcome. Gotta go, guys.
All right. See ya. Thank you.
Megan, are you sharing whether you're sticking with the boy club or not sharing yet?
Well, let's put it this way. I am not a total boy mom anymore. It took 10 to 15 minutes just on that part alone. Like my tech was determined because she'd been doing it for 20 years and she's like, I think I know, but I want confirmation. So my half-hour appointment turned into a 45-minute appointment just for her to like go, okay, now I've been doing this a long time and we're going to try a secret technique. And she's got the wand and she goes, and all of a sudden baby's legs just shot open.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, so it was nice to have an appointment my husband could go to, you know, because right now it's only first ultrasound and then second level, and then anything after that I'm on my own.
Oh my gosh. Oh, hi, Miss Jayla.
Thank you. I gotta go,
Thanks,
guys.
Dana. I know I do have to get to my next one too. All right, we'll be in touch, you guys. Thank you so much. If you don't see any papers from me, you can hound the heck out of me. But I'm sending you, I'll hopefully have that all out today or tomorrow first thing at worst.
Your office tomorrow?
I will not be at my office. Well, I could be at my office tomorrow. I have to give myself options again now that I don't have to be in isolation.
I wanted the new updates.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So I have to build the table. I think when I sent that out initially, I didn't think I had COVID and I had COVID. So I couldn't get over to my office to go build the stuff. So Yes. So we have, I got a big pub table. So it's a tall table, like the one that, and I got 4 chairs for it. And I found the cutest, I'm going to show you a picture on my phone. I found the cute little parent lending library case. It's so cute. My gosh, my phone that I can't get to before. Okay, so you ready?
Oh, that is adorable.
Isn't that cute? And I was like a little late and a plant. I've got to get some books and stuff for it. Let me see if the chairs, I can show you what they look like. Okay, there's the chairs on the rug.
Oh, nice.
So the rug, it's hard to see, isn't it? But
Nope, beautiful.
yeah, so there's that. I've got lamps and plants and fun stuff. Thank you for kicking me in the pants on that and getting some ideas in front of me.
Welcome.
Great. You look
And-
real cozy this afternoon.
I might have been listening with half of my brain for part of the meeting, but
All right.
sorry.
It's okay.
You hear Jace's story when I told him? He was so, we finally, January 1st, we're home from our vacation. We finally tell him, he's like, I had no idea. Really? I said, you kept looking at my belly the whole vacation. He's like, I just thought you were eating too much food.
Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh. He's like the most instant kind of like adult boy man almost. All of a sudden, it seems like he's just really grown up.
If you're on Facebook, look for his picture. It's so funny. He used a Pop-It and he has this perfect little circle on his forehead.
Oh, little boy man. Oh, jeez. All right. Well, you should stop by my office. I've got to jump on a call, but I want you to come over and see the progress.
What time are you going to be there?
Let's see. What time? I can be there anytime. What time do you want to come? What time do you want to show up? Not that you have to commit. You don't have to.
Well, it's best if I'm already out, and I usually I can swing. Didn't know if it's too early, so I could swing by after I drop Jace off at around 9.
Oh yeah, so I'm done with my eye exam at 8:50 and I could go right over. Yeah, come over. We'll have a cup of coffee and try out the space or whatever you're drinking nowadays.
Usually hot. If I do anything exotic, it's hot chocolate.
Good. I'll have some. I actually have some for you there, unless you need something other than water with it.
Make sure it's gluten-free. Some of them aren't.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. All right, I'll check.
If it's not, fine. I drink water. I always have water with me.
All right, good. I have tea. I have little hot chocolate. I have, packets of stuff in there. So, all right, 9 o'clock. I'm gonna put it on. I'll be in my office. You'll help me get out of my house on time.
Because I'm leaving Willow Hill at like 9ish, so I wouldn't be there till like 9:15.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I don't have anything until, well, that's one calendar. Yeah, that's that looks good. Okay, good. I'll see you tomorrow morning then sometime.
Glad you're better.
Thank you. You have a good rest of your day.
You too.
All
Thank
right,
you.
bye.